You ever stare too long into your own eyes in the mirror and feel like something else is looking back? I used to think Bloody Mary was just a sleepover dare, a harmless little thrill you tell in the dark with friends who giggle too loud and pretend not to be scared. But I did it. I stood in the bathroom alone, whispered her name 3 times into the candlelit mirror like some idiot TikTok urban explorer, and waited for the joke to be over. Except the mirror blinked first. And now she won't leave. Every reflection is getting wrong. And I think one of them just smiled without me. It started as a dare. That's how these things always start, drunken bets made in the flickering candlelight of someone else's bathroom, standing in front of a mirror you don't quite trust, speaking a name that isn't yours 3 times like a spell, or a scream, or a prayer. I was 23. I should have known better. But you get bored enough, scared enough, drunk enough, and the line between myth and possibility begins to fray like old thread pulled from the hem of your mind. We were celebrating my roommate Amy's birthday. Just the 4 of us, Amy, my best friend Jen, Jen's brother Caleb, and me. It was supposed to be a dumb night. Booze, weed, some loud music, maybe that creepy ghost box app Jen kept talking about but never used. But someone brought up the old Bloody Mary thing and suddenly we were all jammed into Amy's tiny bathroom, laughing too loud, whispering over each other as the lights dimmed and the candle flickered red-orange shadows across the mirror. "Say it," Caleb said, grinning like a devil in the corner, the candlelight turning his teeth into bone. And I did. Once. Twice. 3 times. Bloody Mary. The silence that followed was thick and strange. The kind of quiet that feels wrong. Like something in the air is holding its breath. Amy giggled, a sharp nervous thing, and Caleb muttered something like, "You guys are lame," and pushed the door open. That's when the mirror flickered. Just for a second. Like static. Like someone had shaken the glass and the reflection couldn't catch up fast enough. My stomach twisted cold. We left the bathroom, and I laughed it off. We all did. That's what you're supposed to do. Laugh, shrug, pretend it didn't feel like the mirror was slower than the world. Pretend it didn't look like someone else blinked when I didn't. But that night, when I went home, things changed. My bedroom mirror was clean. I'd wiped it 2 days ago. But when I passed it, something moved, a twitch, barely caught at the edge of my vision. I turned to look, but it was just me. Just my face. Tired. Pale. Too many drinks. Nothing else. Until I walked away. And the reflection didn't. I turned back fast, nothing. Just me again. But my chest felt hollow, like something was crawling through it, searching for something soft to grip. I didn't sleep well. The next morning, I found blood on the bathroom sink. It was a small smear, like a fingertip dragged across porcelain. I touched it, it was dry. Crusted. Old. That was the first day I avoided the mirror. But you can't avoid reflections forever. They're everywhere, windows, car doors, phones. And she was in all of them. Not always visible. Not all at once. Just enough to let me know she was there, a pair of eyes behind mine, watching. Waiting. The 3rd day, I woke up to find my bedroom mirror shattered, not from the outside, but from inside the glass, like something had punched its way toward me and stopped just short of the surface. The 4th day, I saw her. Not in the mirror. In my room. She was hunched in the corner where the shadows never quite receded, even in daylight. Her body didn't move, but the hair, long, black, stringy, shifted like it was underwater. Her face was mine. But her smile was not. I blinked, and she was gone. That night, Jen called me screaming. Amy was dead. They found her in her apartment bathroom, mirror broken, blood everywhere, her eyes clawed out like someone had reached through the glass and ripped them from her skull. Caleb went missing the next day. They never found his body. Now it's just me. I've covered every reflective surface. I shower in the dark. I haven't looked at myself in a week. But it's not working. Because now I hear her behind me when I close my eyes. And when I dream, I'm in a room made of mirrors. And one of them is cracked. And my reflection is smiling. It was just a late shift. Just a quiet drive home through empty intersections and long, stretched out stoplights. No cars on the road, just mine. No sound but the low thrum of the radio and the occasional creak of the old frame when I turned. Routine, familiar, almost comforting. Until the high beam started flashing behind me, again and again, cutting through my rear view like lightning. I thought it was a tailgater. Just some impatient prick. But then he followed me off the freeway. Then through a red light. Then through my neighborhood. And that's when he pulled up next to me at a stop sign, rolled down his window, and screamed through the glass with bulging eyes and spit on his chin, "There's someone in your back seat." Story: you never think the rearview mirror will matter until it shows you something that shouldn't be there. I had just left the gas station around 1:13 a.m., hands sticky from old steering wheel leather and the stale stench of burnt coffee still clinging to my shirt from the night shift. The roads were empty. I remember that. Clear. Moon-washed. Nothing ahead but blacktop and the occasional broken street lamp humming like a dying insect. I didn't notice the car behind me until the first flash of high beams lit up the inside of my car like a camera flash from the dead. The sudden brightness made me flinch hard enough to veer a little to the right, tires scraping the gravel shoulder. I looked up, an old blue pickup, dented hood, one headlight fogged over with age and grime. Another flash. Then another. Then a long beam that didn't break for nearly 20 seconds. I tapped my brakes, slowed down, trying to wave the guy past me, but he didn't budge. Didn't pass. Just stayed locked behind me, his lights flickering like some secret code. I took the next turn on instinct, a left down a side road near some old factories. Maybe he'd keep going. Maybe he was just trying to tell me something was wrong with my car. But he turned too. I don't know when the dread started to crawl up my spine, but by the time I passed the second stop sign and he was still there, I could feel it chewing on the base of my skull. That's when I glanced in the rear view and saw something, movement, not outside, not in the mirror. Inside. A shape. Something low. In the back seat. I didn't move my head. Didn't turn around. I just kept driving, slow now, like if I went too fast I'd wake whatever was back there. My mouth went dry. My hands started shaking on the wheel. The pickup's lights flashed again. Rapid. Urgent. And then the driver swerved into the opposite lane, rolled down his window, and leaned out, yelling something I couldn't hear. I slowed. He slowed. We rolled through an intersection like two ghosts pacing each other in purgatory. And then, at the next red light, he cut across traffic, slammed his truck to a stop sideways in front of me, jumped out and ran straight to my driver's side door. I tried to lock it. My fingers fumbled the button. Too slow. His face hit the glass. Wild eyes. Blood on his shirt. Don't move. Don't turn around. There's somebody in your back seat. I froze. I didn't look. I couldn't look. But I felt the breath then. Warm. Slow. Right behind my ear. Something cold pressed against my neck. Not a knife. Not exactly. More like something jagged. Sharp. Bone maybe. Metal. I don't know. I didn't care. I just knew if I moved, it would go in. The man outside was yelling again, screaming, pulling at my door handle, which somehow I had managed to lock in time. But it wouldn't matter. Because when the light turned green, my car started moving without me pressing the gas. The thing behind me whispered something low and gurgling. Words I didn't understand. Words that felt wet in my ears. The man outside jumped in his truck, tried to follow, but I could see in the mirror, he didn't make the turn. He crashed into a pole. His headlights vanished in the distance like dying stars. I don't remember the drive after that. I just remember waking up on the side of the road. Alone. No blood. No knife. No pickup. Just a note on the passenger seat, written in smeared black grease, "Don't let her in again." I don't take highways anymore. I don't look in mirrors. And I never drive after midnight. Because some passengers don't need doors to get in. There are creatures people don't want to believe in. Not because they're impossible, but because they're too possible. Too thin. Too fast. Too silent. Too close. The rake isn't a demon, not a ghost. It's worse. It's real. It visits at night, crouched just over your bed, its long, spindly fingers brushing the sheets, whispering your name like it already owns your lungs. And if you wake up and see it, you never sleep again. Story, it started with the scratching. Just tiny, faint noises, almost like nails running across wood. Just beyond the edge of hearing in the dead of night. I thought it was a rat. Maybe a squirrel trapped somewhere. Something small, something natural. But the sounds grew louder. Closer. More deliberate. Then the nightmares began. I dreamed of a creature that wasn't quite human, but not quite beast. A thing crouched low with pale, stretched skin like wax over bones too sharp and thin, eyes like black pits burning into the dark, and a mouth that split open into something too wide to be real. The kind of mouth that can swallow you whole. I woke up gasping, heart hammering, sweat soaking my sheets. The scratching was at the window now. At the door. Behind the closet. One night, I felt it before I heard it, cold fingers tracing my arm, the sharp scrape of its claws just beneath the skin, like a warning or a promise. I dared not move. In the dim moonlight that spilled through the cracked blinds, I saw it crouched in the corner. Its body bent unnaturally, its head tilted, watching me with those hollow eyes that didn't blink, didn't look away. I held my breath. Tried not to scream. But it whispered my name. Slowly. Softly. With a voice like the rustling of dry leaves. I tried to reach for my phone, to call for help, but my arms felt paralyzed. The rake smiled then, a wet, cruel curl of lips that stretched impossibly wide. And vanished. I've slept with every light on since, but sometimes I still hear it breathing in the dark, waiting for me to close my eyes again. You don't want to know the story of Goatman. It starts with a man, once a scientist, who lived alone in the woods, obsessed with creating a hybrid between man and beast. They say the accident took him, twisted him, left him half man, half goat, and all nightmare. He haunts the old bridge on Bloody Hollow Road, where travelers vanish without a trace, their screams swallowed by the black forest. If you cross that bridge at night, you might hear his footsteps behind you, and if you turn around, you'll regret it. Story, Bloody Hollow Road was the kind of place you only dared to drive through in daylight, and even then, the locals warned you not to stop. But when my car broke down on a moonless night, I had no choice but to walk. The air was thick with the smell of wet earth and rotting leaves. Trees towered over me, their skeletal branches like fingers clawing at the sky. Every sound seemed amplified, the snap of a twig, the rustle of something heavy moving in the underbrush. I reached the old wooden bridge, the one that crossed the creek gurgling with stagnant water beneath. The planks creaked under my boots. I slowed, sensing I was not alone. Then I heard it. A low, guttural growl vibrating through the air like a foghorn in the dead of night. I froze. There, just beyond the bridge's edge, stood something tall and terrible, half man, half goat, eyes burning red, fur matted with mud and blood, horns twisting skyward like the devil's own crown. It didn't move, but its gaze pinned me to the spot, filling me with a cold, overwhelming fear that rooted me in place. I tried to back away, but the creature stepped forward, its hooves scraping the wood like a death knell. I ran. Branches whipped my face, my lungs burned, my heart pounded like a war drum. I didn't look back. But I still hear the echo of those footsteps behind me on that bridge. And sometimes, late at night, I swear I feel those eyes watching me from the shadows of my bedroom window. Some nights, the city feels alive in ways you don't expect. Shadows twist and stretch, and the usual hum of traffic can turn into something else entirely. I met him on a deserted sidewalk, the smiling man, his grin too wide, too sharp, his eyes gleaming with something that wasn't quite human. He danced, almost, skipping an eerie rhythm, his smile never faltering, his gaze never breaking. When he noticed me, everything changed. Because some smiles hide things you'll never want to understand. Story. I was walking home late, the streets slick with rain and the distant buzz of neon signs flickering overhead. It was that kind of night where the fog curls around streetlights like smoke, and every shadow seems to breathe. I noticed him the moment I turned onto Elm Street. He was standing beneath a flickering lamp post, his lanky frame twitching in an unnatural rhythm, his head cocked to one side as if listening to a tune only he could hear. His smile was a slash of white teeth, too wide, too perfect, like it was carved on with a knife. I tried to look away, quicken my pace. But he started moving too. He skipped. Yes, skipped. One step, two steps, a little hop that echoed against the empty pavement. "Hey," he called out softly, voice smooth like velvet but with an edge that made my skin crawl. I didn't respond. I kept walking, faster now. He followed, matching my every step with that jerking, off-kilter dance, his smile never fading, eyes locked on mine like a predator fixing its prey. I felt it then, the cold prickling at the back of my neck, the unmistakable feeling that if I looked away, even for a second, he might vanish. But if I met his eyes, I'd never be the same. I darted into an alley, heart pounding in my ears. The last thing I saw was that smile, etched wide across the darkness, bleeding into every corner of the night. I never walked that way again. There's a terror wrapped in innocence. They come at night, two children with eyes black as obsidian, faces pale and smooth like porcelain dolls, their voices soft and sweet, but their intentions cold and hungry. They knock on your door, ask to come inside. They say things only a child would know. And if you let them in, you'll never see daylight again. Story. The knock was soft but steady. At first, I thought it was the wind rattling the window, or a branch brushing the siding. But then it came again, deliberate and slow. I glanced at the clock, midnight. Perfectly quiet except for the rhythmic tapping at the front door. I opened the peephole. Two children stood on the porch, no older than 10, maybe younger, faces flushed with cold and eyes that swallowed the darkness whole, pure black pits reflecting nothing but shadow. "Please," the boy said, voice so gentle it was almost a whisper. "Let us in. We're lost." The girl nodded, her small hand clutching a torn backpack, her smile faint but chilling. Something about them wasn't right. Their skin was too pale, their movements too stiff, too deliberate. I tried to shut the door, but they knocked harder. "Please," they repeated. "We just want to come inside." I called out, "Who are you? Where are your parents?" No answer. Only those black eyes, unblinking and dark as the void, staring through me. The air grew heavy. My breath caught. The shadows in the hallway seemed to stretch toward the door. I don't know what held me back, fear, instinct, or the terror of what might happen if I opened that door. But I never opened it. And sometimes, when the wind howls outside, I swear I can still hear their knock. There's a place where the road twists beneath an old railway bridge, and if you drive there after dark, locals warn you'll hear scratching sounds on your car, like claws scraping metal. They say the Bunny Man lives under that bridge, a man driven mad, wearing a grotesque rabbit mask, wielding an axe, hunting anyone who dares to trespass. Some say he's a ghost, others a lunatic, but all agree one thing: if you hear the axe, run, and don't look back. Story: I was on a dare. A stupid, reckless dare from a group of friends who didn't believe in ghosts or monsters. They laughed when I said I'd drive to the bridge at midnight, that creepy spot on Old Colchester Road. I shouldn't have gone alone, but I did. The night was cold and still, the only sound the hum of my engine and the crunch of gravel beneath my tires. As I approached the railway bridge, the moon slipped behind thick clouds, casting everything into near darkness. I stopped the car just before the bridge. The air smelled of damp earth and rust. Then came the scratching. Slow. Deliberate. On the roof of my car. I froze, heart hammering. The sound grew louder, claws scraping the metal roof like someone, or something, was circling the car. I grabbed my flashlight, flicked it on, and aimed toward the dark shadow beneath the bridge. For a long, terrible moment, nothing moved. Then, from the gloom, a figure emerged. Tall. Muscular. Wearing a dirty, tattered bunny mask stained with dirt and blood. In his hand gleamed an old, rusted axe. He stepped closer, the flashlight's beam trembling in my hands. I slammed the door and tried to start the car, but it sputtered and died. The axe rose. I ran. Branches tore at my jacket, the ground slippery with mud. Behind me, I heard the heavy thud of boots pounding the earth, the sickening scrape of metal as the axe swung through the air. I didn't stop until I was miles away, but even now, I hear the scratching on my car roof when the wind picks up. And sometimes, I swear I see those hollow eyes watching me from the darkness of my bedroom window.